Hello. It's funny. I don't know why I just did this, but Ben, you're in Texas, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why, but I immediately pictured the Bermuda Triangle or like a triangle because I'm in Florida and Mike's in Colorado. Oh, but anyways, we are very happy to have Ben Dunn on here. Shush. And yeah, so
Did you hear
Mike,
that, Ben?
yeah,
Good.
Ben doesn't speak dog, I don't think. But Mike, how well do you know Ben?
Well, I met Ben for the first time a couple months ago in Albuquerque at a convention, but I've long known of his work. And of course, everybody is familiar with Ninja High School and Warrior Nun, especially now that Warrior Nun has been picked up by Netflix.
Yep. Yeah, and I saw that you got to go over to Spain and stuff and see some of the filming and everything over there.
Yeah, I sure did. I was lucky enough they invited me over. I got to see the filming of the first season. I didn't go this this year because of the restrictions. But,
Right.
hopefully I'll be there. Hopefully if there's a season 3, I'll be there for the third season.
Yeah, that must be really. Did you mainly just feel good that they actually made a show of it, or were you like, I would have done this, or I wish they hadn't changed that? I thought the show was very good, in my opinion. I really liked it a lot.
Well, I'm happy and proud as a creator to see something like that transcend to a different medium.
Right.
But I think once I'm sure any of them having to deal with other people working on your property, you really don't have much say in the matter once it's out of your hands.
Right.
It just depends on how much power you have or influence. But for
Right.
me, I have zero influence on the direction of the show. So other than just helping create the foundation for it, that's it.
Yeah, that's got to be. I mean, not like you haven't had this long career, anyways, but it's got to be a little. In some ways, it has to be a little weird just to have so many people involved with it because so much of your stuff, like you did yourself, especially in the beginning, when you were getting going with Mangazine or Mangazine and stuff. It was like you did most of the stories and things in there, and it was like.
That was a
Yeah.
different time.
Oh yeah, yeah, and it was great. I mean, because I could totally relate. I was in high school when that, and I was like, and it was exactly the kind of stuff that like I was wanting to do, and because I had all these different ideas and stuff too, and it was like man, this is awesome. Like he's doing all of these different things, all of these different series and ideas. I actually ordered, although it has not come yet. I actually ordered the collected version of Tiger X.
Oh, wow!
Yeah, so it's a big throwback. But I loved like from the beginning. Like I really enjoyed like Tiger X and Mighty Tiny and all that stuff. And Antarctic has put out some other good stuff that you weren't as involved with. But it was, I can't imagine like what that was like trying to get all that stuff out and all those things. And I know, was your brother involved from the beginning of Antarctic when you get going?
No, not at the beginning. At the beginning, I had teamed up with a friend of mine, and we collaborated to get the publishing company off the ground. It wasn't until around '89 that my brother finally got involved with the activities of the publishing. And once my other business partner left, and he's been, more or less with the company ever since. And he finally took over day-to-day operations in the early 2000s and has been there ever since.
Yeah.
Are you speaking of Antarctic Press?
Yes. Yes.
When did you found Antarctic Press?
I founded Antarctic Press around 85. Actually, it was around 84. I actually got all the paperwork and everything started, but it wasn't until like 85 that we actually started putting comics out.
Do you have like a physical headquarters in Texas?
Yes, we have two offices. One is in San Antonio, which is the main branch. I operate the Dallas branch. I'm speaking from the office right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it looks like you're in an office.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which one was the first one? Was the San Antonio the first one, or?
Oh, San Antonio was the first one. That's where their main location is, and that's where all the editorial is located, where all the paperwork is done, and where the inventory is kept. This is more or less an editorial office where I basically do my own work, and I put together and assemble a lot of the anthologies and individual books that AP publishes.
Is your printer local?
No, we use a lot of printers. Right now, I'm not sure what printers. I think that they do a lot of their printing in Korea, which has caused a lot of problems recently because of supply chain issues. But I do a lot of books, but I do mostly here in the States. So we do a lot of printing both overseas and locally. So we just go with whatever suits our needs and gives us the best deal.
What when you were getting going, and it's funny because I know and this, I mean, a lot of people call you like the Godfather of American manga and stuff, and but what they don't realize is like all of the work and everything that goes into that, and especially all of the just the bad things that when you're being like a forerunner and you're being one of the people like getting things out first, it's not easy to get everyone on board and to accept it. And what were like some of the struggles, or like I feel like you must have been either very passionate or very stubborn or both to keep going like in the early years, just because it was hard because nobody else was really doing much of what you were doing in the beginning.
Well, it's just one of those things I've always wanted to do. I mean, the thing is that I guess I count myself pretty lucky that I have the ability to draw and write my own stuff, which is a major hurdle for a lot of creators. It's either you can draw but you can't write, or you can write but you can't draw. So the more people you have to rely in the chain, the tougher it becomes. And you have to sometimes you have to make compromises, sometimes you make deals, sometimes you have to decide which is the best course of action to take, and sometimes you just got to make hard decisions based on the situation that you're confronted with. Fortunately for me, for the most part, is that I'll be honest, being in business for so long, we probably encountered practically every major problem a publisher could ever encounter, and the fact of the matter is that the market is changing, people's tastes are changing, and you just have to adapt. You have to be able to move quickly in order to maintain your business.
Who's your distributor?
Well, right now, Diamond, as you probably know, is our main distributor. I'm not really privy to a lot of the day-to-day operations at Antarctic Press. I know that they are trying to get other distributors like Penguin Press and some of the others, but Diamond's our main thing. Of course, we've been doing a lot of stuff with crowdfunding, and we've been doing a lot of direct-to-consumer sales as well. So we are trying to expand and trying to find other ways to get our products out there, but it's getting tough. It really is.
Have you guys looked at doing webtoons? Or
I've done webtoons like myself.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Antarctic Press has actually done any webtoons. As far as I know, they haven't. But I've actually been posting a lot of stuff, my own stuff, on the webtoons, because I mean, hey, doesn't cost anything to post, and the potential return is great.
Yeah, it's a great sample.
Has the success of Warrior Nun been reflected in your comic book sales and in that title in particular?
Well, you would think so, but not really. The thing about it is that I actually sold the rights to Warrior Nun many years ago, so I have really no say in the matter as far as creating any new material is concerned. Right now, Avatar Press holds the comic book rights to the character, so the only thing I can pony back on is the fact that I created the character, and that's about it. So, and plus I get trips to Spain to watch the filming. So that's really the big benefit I get from it. Other than that, really, I don't get much of anything else.
Yeah, well, Spain being a Catholic country, what is the reception over there to filming Warrior Nun?
I have no idea. My impression is that to them, I'm sure it's just like, oh yeah, they're filming over here. It gives us some income for the local economy. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what the reception has been over there. My impression is that it's been very positive because the company that does a lot of the stuff for Warrior Nun is located in Spain. The production company is there, the special effects company is there. As far as I know, it's been pretty good. Like I said, they're doing season 2, so that's always a good sign when Netflix greenlights a season 2, because recently they've been canceling a lot of shows.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear him?
No.
Ben, we can't hear you.
Uh-oh. Nope.
I can hear Freddie.
Yeah.
Ben. What the hell?
It's the cybernet.
He's gonna probably, he's gonna log back in.
Oh, I heard him there for a second.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Now we can't see you.
That's okay.
Oh, you can't see me. Okay, hold on.
You can have one or the other.
I don't have no idea what's going on. Hold on.
I'm telling you, it's cybernet.
Can you see me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
So
okay.
when did you come up with the name, or why did you come up with the name Antarctic Press?
Well, the funny thing is originally we were going to call it Penguin Press, but we found out there was already a Penguin Press. So we decided, you know what? Where do penguins live? They live in the Antarctic. So that was probably I know it's strange, but that's what we came up with. So we liked it, so we kept it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great because it's fun, and most people know that you guys were in Texas, so it was definitely a kind of a fun name. It definitely went along. It definitely goes along with your more fun stuff like Ninja High School and things like that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Did I know? And I have some friends who are like huge Ninja High School fans. Like when you came up with that idea of like combining all these different things and then doing it as a high school stuff, like, did it just hit you, or were you developing it? Or is it just a way to like show all of these different things you were interested in?
Yeah, for the most part, I was a very big manga and anime fan already by that time. I mean, I was huge. I was part of the Cartoon Fantasy organization. I had seen manga when I went overseas to Asia and to Taiwan, and was exposed to it. And so I just watched a lot of anime, and I decided, you know what, I really want to do something, and I watched a series called Urusei Yatsura and Project Echo, and those influenced me greatly into doing Ninja High School because I just thought the premise was fun, and thought the setting was out there, and I just thought I'd just go ahead and just and have at it and see what happens.
Yeah, no, I think the setting and everything was perfect, especially for the kinds of things that you were doing and wanting to do, and just doing. Even though, like, I enjoyed some of the more serious things you did, like Tiger X and stuff, it just seemed like you had so much fun doing Ninja High School that it was like contagious. Like I just, yeah, I could just see like so many people just really getting into it and enjoying it. And it seemed, and it's one of those too, even though I am kind of like a big, I really enjoy serialized stuff, but it's definitely for the most part seemed like a book that anybody could pick up any issue and kind of have fun with. It wasn't like you had this huge learning curve or whatever to get into it.
Absolutely. I just thought it was just the setting. I didn't want it to limit the setting. I wanted to be able to do whatever, I wanted to do, and then if I wanted to do like a fantasy story, I could do it. If I wanted to do a superhero story, I could do it, and it seemed to fit.
Yeah, I'm surprised. Has there been any like serious talk? Oh, I know. Yeah, you have or what is it? Yeah, you showed on your Instagram, I think you were showing some of the 3D models for animated.
Yeah. That was just sort of like a proof of concept type thing that we decided to do, see if we could pull it off and see if it would work. I mean, sometimes you just got to go ahead and take a chance and see what happens. If you don't if you don't take the shot, you'll never know if you're going to hit a target. So you just got to try it.
Yeah, and it's just so funny now because like I swear I wouldn't say 90%, but probably 75% of the manga and anime out there is like based around high schools. So it definitely, like, that's why I'm like, man, like it's one of those concepts and stuff that can definitely kind of transcend the times and can keep going, and I could see people interested.
And it's also bringing in new readers. Because
I
doubt very much that Marvel and DC are bringing in new readers.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right about that, Mike.
Yeah.
But they're trying. I think they're trying to get new readers, but I think in the process of doing it, they're alienating their old readers.
Well, I don't know. I mean, when I say new readers, I mean get them when they're young. Because comics, we all acquired our taste for comics when we were young.
Sure.
And now I think Marvel and DC, their audience is overwhelmingly middle-aged, and they're not making decisions based on entertainment.
Right. Well, I mean, that's a very difficult thing to because you got to know your audience. That's the thing. Yeah. If Marvel and DC are decided that their audience is no longer important to them, they're going to abandon them, and if they're not getting any new audience based on their new creations, then what are they doing exactly? You know your audience, Mike, and I know my audience. We cater to them. We know what they like to read, and we make sure that they're entertained. But it just seems to me Marvel and DC, they have no sense of, direction. I
know, I agree with you. Well, they do have a sense of direction. It's just that it has nothing to do with entertainment. They seem to hire people with an agenda who have a message to spread, and they spend too much of the comic lecturing or preaching to the reader, and that's not what entertainment is. I had a great teacher once. His name was Jerry McNeely. He said, "You make them cry a little bit, you make them laugh a little bit, you scare the hell out of them, and that's entertainment." It's a good rule to keep in mind.
Sure. I mean, when you're writing something or producing something, you have a story in mind, and you're trying to reach as many people as you can to want to read it and enjoy it. Because, I mean, if you're just writing for yourself, that's one thing. But if you're trying to write it for someone who's going to pay you to read it, then that's another thing entirely. I think that for us, that's important because we rely on that in order to maintain a living, in order to continue to do what we're doing. I think for Marvel and DC, I have no idea what they're trying to do. It just seems I'm befuddled by the directions that they're taking. but people still buy it. People seem to enjoy it somewhat. And they're still the big dogs on campus. But it is interesting to note that manga has overtaken comic book audience.
And for those who are interested in actual circulation figures, ICV2.com is the best site that I know of, because it lists actual circulation figures monthly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Yeah. I mean, for a percentage of the population, we almost everybody in this country can read, and for the most part, well, there's 300 million people in the United States. I mean, the best selling comic book sells 100,000 copies. I mean,
that's good.
I know. That's considered good, and that's just a tiny fraction.
I know. You're right.
The population.
That's right.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. What is it that? I mean, it could be that we have a lot of choices because you have the internet, you have video games, But if you want to get people to read comics, you got to give us a reason to read comics.
That's absolutely right. And Sturgeon's law is 90% of everything is crap, and certainly that applies to comics. But you just mentioned something that generally goes unspoken in why comic readership is falling, and that's the success of video games. Because the fact of the matter is that a good video game gives you more entertainment per dollar than most comics. And also, I think that we have a generation of kids who are raised on electronic entertainment, and there's a lot more immediate gratification in a video game, which doesn't necessarily spin a narrative, but gets you involved in an adventure like a sporting event that you're working at right now. So you get scores, and you try to run that score up. It's a different appeal, and it probably appeals to different parts of the brain.
Well, I mean, I will agree with you somewhat on that. Video games, though, are very male-centric. I'm not sure how many females actually play video games. But if you think about it, there is still a demand for good entertainment that people want to read. I mean, manga is a good example of that. Harry Potter is another example of that. I mean, people were buying her books and reading them. So if you put out something that people want to read, okay, they will read it.
Right.
I honestly believe that. If they don't, if you're putting out something that they don't want to read, no one's going to buy it.
That's right.
DC is a perfect example of that, is that they're not putting out material that people want to read. They're only doing it. It seems to me all they're trying to do is create buzz, and get media attention.
And it's the wrong kind of buzz, too. I mean, every time I see a story about it, it's, can you believe this awful shit that DC is publishing?
Well, I haven't read, I'll be honest with you, I haven't read a Marvel or DC comic in literally, years, and all I know is what I read as far as the next outrage that they're doing with their characters.
I have. Last year I bought a Captain America and a Master of Kung Fu.
Right.
And neither contained any entertainment value.
Well, but you have to ask yourself, the one thing I did wonder about is why are they doing this? What's the reason? I mean, they must realize that what they're doing is going to affect their readership and their sales, but they're still doing it anyway. So what is the reason for them to, why are they abandoning the classic characters in lieu of creating new ones? I mean, it'd be one thing if they created new characters, and they used to do that all the time. I mean, that.
Right.
Back in the day, they would be introducing new characters all the time, in the 80s and the 90s and stuff like that. And they would try them out and see what stuck and what didn't stick, But now all they're seen to be doing, to me, is the next gender, or race swap or whatever to a classic character.
Yeah.
And it didn't seem, but then I realized there was talk about them losing the rights to these characters. I always assumed they own the rights lock, stock, and barrel.
Who's threatening them?
What?
Who would threaten DC, for example? Who has the power to take the rights of Superman away from them?
No, nobody does, but except for the court of public opinion. People would they say, okay, you're trying to deny the creators, their due because they created the characters because you're a greedy corporation. I mean, that to them, image is everything, and if there's any chance of them going to lose, even the slightest chance of them losing the rights to the creator, they're in big trouble. Okay, they're in big trouble. So I mean, and I can see why they would want to change everything. He says, "Oh yeah, this is our wholly new separate character. Just happens to be called Superman." So and that's I think that's their plan. They have to take. I mean, if they don't lose Superman, that's fine. But why take chances? They can just if the corporation, they just have to realize that there's something to be said about them possibly losing the rights to these characters. You just don't know. You don't know how courts are going to go. Sometimes they can rule in your favor, which is fine, but other times, and what happens if they rule against them? Then they lose it. They lose everything. So it's just one of those, they're just hedging their bets for the most part. But then I think they could have done it, and they could have done it in a way that would have been acceptable for everyone. It just seems like they're just doing it for the sake of doing it, and they're not doing it very well. I wouldn't have an objection if Superman was gay, if they had a great story to go with it. They had a reason for it. It just seemed like it was arbitrary. We decided to make Superman gay today, so
yeah.
It just seemed like, well, what? It seemed weird to me.
Yeah. Well, they totally believe in their message, and they want. That's the thing. It's almost like propaganda. But the worst thing, especially from us who are writers, is the worst things is that they don't like have nuanced characters. Like the characters are either like people that they like or people that they hate. Like there's no in between. Like I know I was kind of excited when they did when Sam the Falcon did take over to be Captain America several years ago in the comics. I was excited, especially because I thought the suit was cool and everything. And so I picked up the comic, and then like everything in it, like anyone who was religious or conservative or like whatever, like they were not just like evil, like all of it had border patrol agents in it who like worship demons and stuff. And it's like, are you kidding? Like this is what you think? Like you can't have a variety of beliefs. You have to demonize the people that you disagree with, or like whatever the thing. And it's like, and that's what I mean. In a lot of ways, I say this in praise of you and Mike. Like you have very characters who have their own characteristics and stuff, and their own beliefs or worldviews, or their own stuff. And it's like that's one of the biggest crimes to me with a lot of the stuff with Marvel and DC is so many of the characters just act the same, or they have the same beliefs or whatever.
Yep, an ideological rigidity, which is one of the things that's standing in the way of entertainment, because the writer's job, number one, is to entertain. And they have a whole bunch of writers who don't understand that at all, and either don't know how to entertain or put their agenda ahead of entertainment. I mentioned Captain America because that's one of the most egregious examples of putting ideology ahead of entertainment. They hired a man with no previous fiction-telling experience. His name is Ta-Nehisi Coates, and they hired him because he wrote a book about how he was an angry black man being mistreated in America. That was a decision made totally for political reasons, and it's astonishing to me that he's been on the book for 4 or 5 years now, and now there's talk that he's been hired to write a Superman movie script. And I predict it will never get made.
Well, you bring up the Falcon, and in becoming Captain America, I mean, I'm not familiar with the story. I do know that it happened in that TV series they did, but I mean, to me, it befuddles me. Why would they abandon a perfectly good character named the Falcon, who's already established? He's already
right.
Why didn't they just say, let's make him a better character? Let's take the Falcon who's already established and make him, people want to be the Falcon, turning him into Captain America made no sense to me because he was already had an identity of his own,
Yep.
established as the Falcon, and it just like, now who's going to take over the Falcon?
Yeah.
Okay, and who's going to take over the mantle of the Falcon? And then I think they've also failed to realize what exactly Captain America stands for, because he was created in World War II as a response to the rising tide of fascism, and he wanted to create Joe Simon and Jack Kirby wanted to create a patriotic character, as a response to that rising fascism. And I think that the writers really don't realize that that's who Captain America is. Okay, he wants to protect liberty, he wants to protect freedom, and
he's gone. Ben. Now I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I hit my mute by accident.
While we're waiting for Ben to come online, this is a good time to mention that Gary Kissel and I are creating a new title called Private America, and it's everything that Captain America should be but isn't, and it will also incorporate many Punisher-like elements. It's a character that the readers are waiting for.
Cool. So why private?
A number of reasons. One is to pimp the hubris of naming your character Captain Anything, which I think is a trope that needs to be retired. And two, the protagonist is somebody who's dishonorably discharged from the armed forces for shooting a jihadist who was torturing a dog. And that establishes his theme right away. So he's both humble and dedicated to the United States, and also skilled. And when we first meet him, he's where Captain America would be if he were written correctly, which is on our southern border, trying to stop the deluge of illegal aliens.
Yeah. Did you see that Texas is building their own border wall now?
Yes. And, God help us, our liberty and prosperity depend entirely on the states now.
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if Ben's going to come back.
Yeah. I wonder if his stuff might have been dying.
But in any case, this will be one of our shorter broadcasts, if that's the case. But hey, what the hell, Jeff? You and I can always chat. What are you working on?
Oh.
How's Pistol Fist going?
Pistol Fist ended, although I'm still thinking about doing an Indiegogo and stuff like that to raise a little bit more and do a little more stuff because I got more people interested in more stories and different things. So, and obviously that takes more money to be able to do that. And I have some people who've been sending me some really cool variant covers, and even though our Kickstarter's over, I was like, I might need to run something else. And then honestly, it would probably be with totally different covers for the stuff, which is fine. And there's people that and I know it's a holiday time, so it's tough for a lot of people. So there's a lot of people who would like to go back and be able to get some other things that they were interested in.
I should mention that Thin Blue Line is in demand, and we're only a couple $100 away from 30 thou. And if we reach 30 thou, I will dye my hair green. That is my pledge to you. And even though that it's about the police, it's going to be the most entertaining comic anybody reads all year. There's no preaching. There's no lectures. It's just pure drama with flashes of humor, because even the grimmest story must have a little humor.
Hey, there he is. How many hours, Mike, will you leave your hair green?
Oh, probably just long enough to photograph.
Mike.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's okay. We know it's hard down there in Texas.
You're right. It sure is.
So Ben, what are you working on now?
Right now, I'm working on getting Ninja High School back on a monthly basis. It's one of those things I've been trying to do for a while, especially with the 35th anniversary coming up next year, and working on a crossover with a couple of creators with like Tim Lim. I'm doing a crossover with his Common America character, and I'm working on just editing for the most part. I'm putting together the 4 major anthology titles for Antarctic Press. And
Oh, we sent you an 8-page horror story that was in color. Do you remember that?
what was it called?
Cenote.
I think I remember that one.
I'll resend it.
Huh?
I'll resend it. I don't know if you're doing a color anthology, but if you are, you should take a look at this. It's a good story.
Oh, we accept color and black and white. I've decided that, you know what, if I get something in black and white, that's no problem. Yeah, but if I get it in color, that's fine too. So I'm not opposed to either one. And so it gives a little bit more flexibility as far as stories are concerned, because I know not everyone can, get a colorist. I'm being more flexible as far as stories are concerned.
There are some books that look great in black and white. They're few and far between, but I mean, some of those the Batman black and whites were great. And there are artist proofs that Graffiti puts out, these giant artist proofs that reprint the art perfectly. I mean, right down to the blue pencil lines you can see, and those are magnificent. But those are for people who collect fine art. We're working on one now. I'm doing a Western with Pat Broderick, and it's the best work of his career. And everybody who's seen the black and white pages has been knocked out. And we're probably going to offer a black and white oversized variant on that.
Yes, I mean it's I've seen some of the pages; they're amazing. So it's just I'm really looking forward to it. But I'm going to switch over to my laptop so my phone doesn't.
Groovy, baby. Get them both working at once before you switch over.
Beside himself.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it, and I thought, I'm getting a lot of submissions in black and white, and it just seems like a shame not to, and they're really amazing stories. So it just seemed like a shame not to put it in there just because it's in black and white.
Yeah.
And I just thought, heavy metal used to do that all the time. Back in the day, they would print color and black and white. So there was no reason why, you can't have both. So it's I decided that, I'm just going to go ahead and change it. If I get the story in black and white and it's really good, I'm going to put it in there no matter what. And if I get a color story, just so much the better.
What's the best way for
What's the best way for
hey.
That better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
What's the best way for people to follow the Ninja High School? Like, for when do you think it's going to be on a monthly?
Well, I turned. The problem is I had a backup artist. I mean, a fill-in artist to do some books. So because I was so far behind on some of my other projects, unfortunately, he's the roadblock right now. I've already turned in the next 2 issues.
Yeah.
So they're ready to go, but I can't do it until he gets this one book completed. So, but I'm just going to maintain and build a backlog, get as many stories in as possible, so they won't be late. And just keep on chugging along on that. And if people want to read the entire series, they can go to Webtoons. I have the entirety of Ninja High School up on there if they want to read it. So
that's
they can
awesome.
catch up on it very quickly for free.
So, okay, I have to ask you: have you played the Ninja High School role-playing game?
Yes, I have actually. It's really fun.
Have you?
Uh-huh.
Okay,
really
cool.
Good. I haven't really had much time to do much role playing.
Right.
Because you got to get a group of people together to actually do it.
Yeah.
I just right now I don't have too many friends who are into role playing, so it's difficult to get together a game.
Yeah. No, I've wanted to do it, and I have friends that really like it and want to do it. And I'm actually on a it's kind of more of a fun, silly like D&D podcast, but we'll also play some other different systems and different games. And we've talked about doing a Ninja High School one.
Cool.
Because some of the people involved are such big fans of it. But
well, fantastic.
What was it like? How did I did want to ask, how did the Marvel Mangaverse come about?
Well, believe it or not, that was just a code submission. Back in 1999, manga was starting to gain prominence in the comic book community. It still was pretty niche, but and Joe Quesada was the editor at the time. So I decided to put together a prospectus. And I just said, you know what, I'm just going to go ahead and draw my proposal, send it in, and cross my fingers. You know, to be honest, I actually didn't think anything of it. You know, I just said, you know what, I want to do this. I'm going to take a chance. I sent it in, and this is when Marvel was still accepting submissions.
Right.
I'm not sure they do that anymore, but I got an email from him that says, hey, yeah, let's do this. And that's how it came about. I just took a chance and did it. You know, it was just crazy thing. You know, sometimes you just have to take that chance. You know, you just got to go in and say, you know what have you got to lose? Okay, so the thing is that I had nothing to lose. You know, I spent time to do the artwork, to do the proposal, and sent it in. All it lost me was the time to do the art and do the FedEx bill to send it in, and that was it. You know, so if nothing became of it, you know, I would say, oh well, move on. But we loved it, and they decided to go ahead with it. So that's how I got the gig.
And as a artist and everything too, it gives you something different to draw and to experiment with and practice. And so
well, not only that, but it also teaches you you need to take chances.
Right. You know,
you know, so you may not always get what you want, but if you don't take that chance, you'll never know. You know, that's the thing. You know, a lot of people, they bemoan, you know, oh, you know, the system is rigged against me. I have no chance. You know, well, if you don't, you know, step up to the plate and swing, you know, the bat, you'll never know if you're going to hit that home run.
Yeah, you have to put stuff, and that's what I've told so many of my, especially really talented friends. It's like you have to put your stuff out there so they can find it or see it. I mean,
it does you no good to have it stuck in your head. If you have it stuck in your head, okay, no one's ever going to see it. You can have the most brilliant idea, you know, you could have the next Harry Potter, next Star Wars, you know, who knows? But if you don't put it on paper and let people see it, it doesn't do anybody any good. It's just vapor, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
Unfulfilled potential.
Yep. And and that's what people, and I understand, you know, I understand the fear of rejection and all that stuff, but it's like, man, it's like you're never going to get an opportunity if you don't put it out there, and then you don't know what'll happen. That's actually how I got this like 4 really cool gigs from National Geographic Channel, was because it was like an audio choose your own adventure thing, and it was and I just posted like a short sample of it online. It was like 2 minutes long or something, and I ended up getting like 4 jobs from National Geographic because of it, because that's what they were looking for.
There you go.
And you never know unless you put it out there, and you never know, you know, who might see it.
Well, not only that, you know, the thing is the success and failure of any project is the fact that you have to be willing to take that chance. I mean, not every project you're going to do is going to be a success, but you have to take that chance, because you never know, it could become the next big thing, you know, or it could be your one project that makes it for you. You know, it's if you don't do it, nothing will become of it.
I write, when I get an idea I can't get out of my head, I write it, I put it down. And
exactly, some
of those ideas have been waiting in my file for years, and then an opportunity arises, and suddenly they become real. And Buddy McGill is a perfect example. You know, I've been thinking about Buddy McGill for years, and I wrote the script, and I looked around, and I found an artist who was willing to draw it, and he drew it, and we presented it to Advent. And they went for it. So I'm very excited about that.
Well, that's wonderful. I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. You know, I mean, what's that old saying? Like 91% inspiration, 99%
99%
Yeah.
perspiration. I mean, that's exactly
perspiration. Says, what are these
exactly.
people talking about? This is it, boys. Letting me go.
And you know,
Yeah.
it's also important that, you know, especially with new creators, to temper your expectations. You know, a lot of
Oh
times,
yeah.
you know, when I'm going to conventions, I'm looking at other people's stuff. You know, they think that their work is going to be like this tremendous hit right out of the gate. You know, and
Yeah.
that's possible. There's no, I mean, it's, you know, a lot of things can happen, but
You never know.
when you're dealing, what it comes down to, when you're dealing with other people's money, okay, they're a little bit more hesitant to take chances on things that haven't been established. You know, and that's the thing about it, is that as a public, from the publisher aspect, you know, we're the ones who are putting up the money. Okay, and you're putting up the time. Okay, so we have to balance out, you know, what your time is and what we're willing to spend on your project. You know, because it takes money to advertise it, it takes money to print it takes money to, you know, to solicit and all that kind of stuff. And if it's something, and of course you expect to be paid for it, you know, we don't expect you to do it for free. And
Yeah.
if it turns out to lose money, then we're more reluctant to accept your next project. You know, if we lost money, but sometimes, I mean, sometimes we'll lose money on a project, but we'll still do this next project because we just like the guy. You know, sometimes a creator, we just, you know, we like this creator. You know, he's always been on time. He's always done really good work, and maybe his work just hasn't caught on yet. I mean, a good example of that is Fred Perry. You know, Fred
Yeah.
Perry, who does Gold Digger,
Yeah.
who's coming up to issue 300. When he first submitted, you know, I mean, he sent in something like 15 submissions, and we rejected.
Wow.
But finally, we were impressed by his persistence. You know, and then you know, finally, you know what? We'll give him a chance. We'll put it in the yearbook, a story of his, and we published it. And then he offered us Gold Digger, and you know, and we said, okay, let's take a chance. And but the thing was, it's so terribly, when it first came out,
Yeah.
nobody gave a rat's rear behind on it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
but he kept doing it, and we kept publishing it, you know, until finally he was able to get a fan base. And now, you know, he's got a really loyal and dedicated fan following because he kept it up, you know, despite the initial um, uh, the initial low sales at the beginning. You know, sometimes if you just stick with something, eventually, if it's good, people will eventually discover it.
Yeah. And sometimes it's just the wrong time. It's like not what people are looking for, or there's other stuff similar in the market or whatever. And it's like, but if you stick with it and you keep doing, and you know, I mean, his characters and stuff in that are like so well defined, like, and they have such crazy adventures and stuff. It's, you
Well, I
know,
mean,
it
sometimes it's just, you're right. It's just, sometimes it's a matter of timing. Sometimes it's just a matter of just sticking with it. I mean, I love this story. Is every time I hear it, it just makes me feel like there is hope. You know, it's like when George Lucas tried to do Star Wars, nobody gave a rat's rear behind about science fiction or Star Wars. I mean, they just like, what is this crap? No one's going to care about, you know, a space adventure. I mean, holy crap. You know, but, you know, he stuck with it, and finally someone took a chance on it, and the rest is history. You just, sometimes you
Same with
just never
J.K.
know.
Rowling.
J.K. Rowling, good example. I mean, how long did it take her to get her book published? Like 20
She
years,
got
something like that.
like over 50 rejections before it was published.
Exactly. You know, but she stuck with it. You know, she stuck with it. She kept it, and finally, she's lucky that one of the publishers had a daughter who read the manuscript, you know, and she loved it, and that's how she got her book published in the States. So it was just a happenstance. Sometimes it's luck, but in the end, the fact that she wrote a really good story that a little girl read and loved, you know, got her the acclaim that she has right now. You know, so you know, it's just, but she did it. See, that's the thing. If J.K. Rowling had given up, you know, and stopped writing, we would not be having Harry Potter today. You know, but she kept at it, and that's the thing. You have to have faith in your own creation. You have to believe in what you're doing.
I always tell aspiring comic book creators that by far the best way to break into the industry is to put out your own comic, because if it looks halfway decent, an editor will read it. They won't read a script as readily. They'll look at art at the drop of a hat. But if you present the story with art, they will read it if it's halfway decent. But always bear in mind, you only get one chance to make a first impression. And so you can't kid yourself. I mean, we're contacted by artists all the time. It says, what do you think of my art? What do you think of my art? And I got to say, listen, you're familiar with comics. You know that your art doesn't reach the professional level. You have a lot of work to do.
Sure. But, the thing about it is that for a company like ours, for Antarctic Press, we're a small company. So we really don't have that kind of gravitas that would attract huge talent, because I'll be honest with you, we don't really pay that much, but we're a gateway publisher. Okay, so if you are just starting out and you just need a chance to get your stuff out there, small publishers might be the way to go. Now it's not so much, because you can just post your stuff online now and have potentially millions of people look at your work. Like Webtoons is a good example of that. But there's something really visceral about holding a real physical comic in your hand and seeing it on stage. It's hard to duplicate that, even in digital form, and it's just not the same. It's not the same to see your stuff online as it is to see it in print on real paper, being held by somebody.
You mentioned that you're doing some crowdfunding.
Yes.
For Antarctic titles.
Mm-hmm.
What campaigns
Yeah, go ahead.
What campaigns do you have going on right now?
Well, AP doesn't have any real campaigns going on. They do a lot of Gold Digger campaigns to get the original black and white series colored. So that's what they're doing right now for the most part. They are trying to branch out into more original concepts right now. I think they're doing a collection of the Motofumi's Cat Shit 1 manga into a hardback edition. And I think they also have some other stuff coming up. I'm not really in tune with what they have as far as crowdfunding is concerned.
What's Gold Digger?
Gold Digger is a sort of a manga that was created by Frank Perry, and it's about a family of archaeologists / magic users who go on these wacky adventures. And she has a adopted sister who's like a were-cheetah. It's focuses on Gina Diggers, and it's basically his version of Tomb Raider, and that was the inspiration for Gold Digger, and he just made it his own because he couldn't get the rights to Tomb Raider, so he decided to do his own version of it.
Reminds me a little of Indiana Jones and that kind of stuff too, I guess.
Yeah, he was a big fan of Indiana Jones, so that was the inspiration for him to do. But he made it his own. He took the initial concept of what he loved and made it his own. And sometimes a lot of things happen that way. I mean, look at Star Wars. What is Star Wars? Nothing but Flash Gordon, Buck Rogers, all those old surreal science fiction. And George Lucas says, you know what? I love these as a kid. I'm going to do my own version of it, and that's how he came about.
Okay, Ben, have you seen Cells at Work?
The
what? Anime or the manga? The manga or the anime Cells at Work?
No, I have not.
I swear, like I could totally. It's been a big hit. It's kind of symbolic. Like there's people in in white outfits and red outfits and stuff that are like white blood cells and red blood cells, and it's like inside.
I think I saw part of the anime that.
Yeah. I could totally see you doing something like that. I'm like, if there's like a modern anime or something or manga that is out there, like I could kind of see Ben doing something like this, because especially if you watch some of this stuff, the way that they exaggerate stuff and just it's a lot more fun than it is educational. But of course, a lot of people love the educational aspect.
Oh, it sounds like it sounds great. Actually,
But,
I mean, that's
yeah, I
the
was
thing is
just
that
wondering.
I could do. I mean, the beauty of Ninja High School is that we used to parody anime and manga all the
Right.
time. We
Yeah.
just make our own. So it would not be unusual for us to take the concept, decide to do our own version of it, and see what happens.
Did you ever do a college thing or a middle school or elementary or anything like that was like a spinoff of?
I'm pretty sure we have.
Seems like you've done almost everything. So.
Well, the thing about it is we used to do these anthologies there's
Right.
these annuals called the Ninja High School yearbooks.
Yeah.
And it allowed fans and readers to do their own versions of it. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there was something like that in there.
Somebody. Yeah. Well, very cool. I guess we can let you go. What is there a best way or that you would like people to follow you online where
Sure.
you communicate more? Or
I'm on DeviantArt under Dog Supreme. I post a lot of my artwork there. I have webtoons under Ninja High School, so you can check out a lot of my stuff on there as well. You can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. Yeah, I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the various social media sites. So I'm not hard to find if you want to get a hold of me. I do respond to creators who want to.
And what's your Twitter handle?
Zetra Red.
Zetra Red.
Yeah.
There's always got to be something different.
I thought I was being clever, but
it's like Ben gets bored easily. I think.
No, I still have an AOL account for my email.
Wow.
People say, AOL, what's that?
Yep.
Yeah, I still have it.
Yep.
Well, thank you for joining us, Ben.
Thank you so much for inviting me, guys. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, you're amazing, man. Yeah. Mike is semi-amazing sometimes.
Oh, what do you mean? I've followed him since his first Badger comic came out many years ago. I bought it off the stands. I loved it.
Oh, yeah.
God bless you, sir.
Yeah.
That's how I discovered him.
Yeah. Yep. Very cool. Well, yeah, we'll let you get back to the what is the temperature in Texas right now? Do you know?
Right now it's raining and it's about 72 degrees.
Man, what's the temperature where you are, Mike?
15.
A little chilly.
Yeah.
But we're supposed to get a cold front sometime this weekend. So
yeah, the 50s.
Yeah.
I wish for you.
Well, Texas, we can't handle that kind of cold,
Yeah. Mike is having Antarctic weather.
Yeah, if only, right?
Well, we'll see you later. Have a good one. Everybody follow him and check out his stuff.
You guys take care, man.